Hi everyone, we're back, and today I'm with Sam. I'm gonna restart that because I actually okay. Hey all, today you're listening to the Hoodgirlzzz Podcast, a space for women who love adventure, growth, and real conversations. I'm Ari. In every episode, we talk with someone who's finding their path, staying centered, and living life fully. Get ready for stories that inspire, challenge, and uplift. Today, I'm so excited to have Sam with me. She is a thoughtful friend and someone whose story is full of lessons about resilience, love, and finding yourself. Sam didn't start snowboarding until a little later in life, but has many experiences we can all learn from, experienced grief, heartbreak, love, and also has a heart of gold. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Ari.
Before we get started, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself in your own words?
Sure.
I know, it's a hard question. It's like an interview question.
I've never been asked to describe myself. I don't know. I grew up in Oregon as a chaotic little kid, trying a bunch of new things. And not much has changed since then.
Still the same old Sam. How old are you and how long have you been in Oregon?
I'm 27 and I've been here my whole life. I've lived in a few different places in Oregon and spent a month in California, but I don't really count that as living somewhere else. So yeah, I've been in Oregon.
Cool.
Forever.
Same. We'll get into a little bit more of your story and stuff like that in your time in California. But first, tell us about your childhood and what your family was like. I remember you and I, at the beginning of the summer, we took a trip to the coast. We just day tripped it. Perks of living in Oregon. And you just had a lot to say, and I know it's so mini rant, but it's easy to see someone on Instagram and get to know someone later in life, the version of themselves then. But I feel like your story is really unique in the way that you grew up. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Childhood, I grew up in Southeast Portland. For anyone who doesn't know the area well, it's not really actually in the city. It's this little suburb outside of Portland. And childhood was wacky and fun. There were some challenges that I won't talk about now, but for the most part, it was a really fun, chaotic childhood. I grew up with, I'm the middle of 3 children, sandwiched in between 2 brothers. So that was interesting in and of itself. My mom is a very intelligent, practical, organized person. And my dad was also smart, but very chaotic, very exuberant. And so I feel I got kind of equal parts of them. I was always on top of my, am I allowed to curse on that?
Do it.
I was always on top of my shit, but I was also just a chaotic, hyperactive child wanting to try new things all of the time. And I'm really fortunate that my parents supported me in that. Maybe when it got to a certain point, but for the most part, they never really put a limit on the things that I could do, or try. So I was in dance, theater, choir, sports. I tried almost every sport. Yeah, very athletic family, both of my brothers too, extremely competitive growing up. So yeah, just lots of fun, trying new things, very competitive. Never really had one specific direction that I wanted to go, hence why I was doing a bunch of different random things. And I'm really fortunate that my parents supported that and drove me to all of those things.
I remember, and this kind of leads into my next question, but I remember on that specific trip to the coast, you spent a lot of time talking about your school years and like your living in California for school. What do you feel like triggered your wanting to pursue schooling and what you pursued?
That's a good question. I've always loved learning. I was really fortunate. I went to a charter elementary school. It was still part of the public system, but so it's free and everything, but there was a lottery in order to get in, because obviously schools have capacity. So it was a lottery system to get in, and that education from a young age really just like fostered my love for diverse interests and like my love of learning, because the way that the school was founded, I won't go too much into it, but if you know Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences, it was founded around that principle. So they did things in a very unique way where we had classes based around being creative, based around learning new languages, based around music, along with just like general curriculum that any other elementary school would have. And so I think that really fostered my love of learning. And also just having ADHD, novelty is something that I'm always seeking. So I really love to learn. And then when I got to college, I still had no idea what I wanted to study. I've never had a direct path. Even when I was a kid, at some point I wanted to like simultaneously be like an archaeologist and an actress and a tennis player and like an author. Like there was never one solid path. So I was trying all these new things. Got to college, still didn't know what I wanted to do. And I felt like I had really received a good education or had like a good understanding of things like creative writing, which I really enjoyed, but I felt like I had already learned a lot that there was to learn in that field. Same with music. And so one field that I felt like disconnected from, or that I hadn't really learned much in, was science. And so I started taking, I think the first course I took that really attracted me to science was environmental science. Mm-hmm. And I absolutely loved it. I loved being outside for our classes. I loved learning more about the world around me. And so that sparked my interest in the field, and I continued taking more classes that were based around generally environmental science, and just found that as I learned more, I felt so much more connected to the world around me, instead of before. It's easy to kind of feel like, well, at least in modern society, like you're an alien that was just like planted in this random place. Mm-hmm. And as I started to learn more about my environment, I felt so much more connected, like in a really deep way. And I loved that feeling. And I knew there was so much more to explore within that field. So I majored in biology for my undergraduate education. And then by that point, I felt like I had learned a lot about terrestrial biology. And I wanted to know more about our oceans. So I pursued marine biology for my master's degree. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nice. I don't know if I answered the entire question.
You did. You did. And then what was your little stint of time in California from?
My master's, I did it at the University of Oregon, but I was living in Coos Bay, which is this tiny little coastal town. And my master's research was on kelp forest ecology. So I was getting a bunch of scuba certifications in order to collect data underwater for my master's research. And going to California was the final stage of my scuba certifications, where I was in Monterey Bay at a field station there, Hopkins Marine Station, in order to get my scientific diving certification. So it was a really intense 5-week-long course in order to get that certification so that I could perform science underwater.
So you had to defeat the final boss.
It was the final boss. It didn't really feel like that though. It was so fun. Like that experience is so dear to me, and like one of the best experiences I've ever had. It was a lot of work, but that is one of my favorite parts of my life, where I was just in the water every single day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was incredible.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you were pretty alone. You like decided to do that, and then you got out there and you were kind of like, what am I doing?
Yeah, so when I was applying for graduate school in 2020, which is a whole thing in and of itself. When I was applying for graduate school, I was in a long-term relationship. And shortly after the application process, we broke up, or he broke up with me. So it was very unexpected. And so this whole time I was like envisioning my life in graduate school. I knew I would probably be living wherever I was alone, but I would only be alone physically.
Yeah.
Not figuratively. Like in my head, when I was envisioning this, I would have a partner that was supporting me through that. Mm-hmm. And so the rug was kind of swept out from under me. I didn't even know if I was going to get into a program. It's like not uncommon to apply and not hear anything back and have to continue applying for a couple years before getting into grad school. And it was so crazy. Like literally on the deadline, like the national deadline for schools to be able to accept students, I got this email and he was like, do you want to do a master's program here? And I was like, yes. So, but that meant I was moving alone to this tiny little coastal town completely by myself. And at the time, like, I was actually very excited about it. I was a little bit delusional. I don't think I really understood what that would fully mean or look like, but I was really excited about living on the coast, excited about having my own place for the first time. And I think it wasn't until a few months in that it really settled in, like, oh my gosh, like I'm totally alone. I don't know anyone here. My family was very supportive, but obviously that's a different relationship than having like a partner through all of that. And it kind of caught me by surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little naive about what that was going to be like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like that was such a stepping stone, like as much as that sucked. Like, I know when you told me that story, I was like down in the dumps at the time. Mm-hmm. And then after hearing that, I was like, okay, like I'm not alone. Like, obviously I know that like people go through hard times and stuff like that, but hearing it from someone that I knew and that like I respect as a person, I was like, it definitely gave me the courage to like keep going and you know, figure it all out. But I feel like that was such a, this is so cringe what I'm about to say, but like a
say it
bone builder. Oh, a muscle builder.
I need some milk.
But you know, like how things happen to us and then we like go through it and then we make it out alive. We make it out good, hopefully. And then we like go through another struggle and we're like, okay, like I have done this before. I could do it. And then you moved out here all by yourself.
Yeah.
And now you're like on the other side of that.
Yeah, 100%. And that I think living alone is also a pretty unique experience. I'm sure there are plenty of people that do it, but at least in my corner of the world, like it felt like a unique experience. It was hard to find people who could relate to what I was dealing with at the time. And so it's really nice to hear that I could be that for you at that time. But yeah, really unique, difficult experience, especially being in such a tiny town. And that's not to say, like, I worked really, really hard to find community, and I did find an incredible community there. But yeah, it was a difficult experience living completely alone in a new place. But like you said, after that, I feel like that was a very pivotal experience where I was like, oh my God, if I can do that, like I can literally do anything. Mm-hmm. And it was really empowering. And there was plenty of stuff that I did enjoy about it that I really loved about that time. But yeah, it was difficult.
And now you're here in Govy.
Now I'm here in Govy.
Yep. Not for long, though.
We'll be back.
Okay, I have a guest question from Levi.
All
it's
right,
actually a really good question. It's a really good
building it
question.
up a lot.
It's deep. As a young girl of color growing up in a predominantly white state, what helped you feel a sense of belonging in spaces where that can be hard to find both culturally and personally?
That's so sweet. He listens to me.
Yeah.
I've never really like talked about it in depth, but I've casually brought it up that yeah, I was a brown girl living in a very white state. Oregon is like statistically one of the whitest states in the US. But that's not like something that that's not something I was aware of to the same level that I am now. I just like as a child you're not really thinking about like complex issues, but I think I always like, it sounds so corny, but always did feel just like a little bit different or like a little bit, not necessarily an outcast. That's not the right word for it, but I did feel a little bit alone in some ways, but that feeling itself isn't something I would have been able to articulate as a kid or like identify why that was happening. But it was something that I felt, and I think that came out, and like I identified a lot with characters like Wednesday Addams or like Coraline and things that were like based around outcasts. And it wasn't until later in life that I realized why that was. But I don't know how I found sense of belonging. I think I don't know that me being brown in a very white state contributed to this, but I was very family oriented, and so I think that's how I stayed grounded, because obviously I have family members who are brown too. Very family oriented all growing up, and then once being not an outsider but like of a minority community did come to my awareness. I don't really know. I don't know if I have dealt with that, honestly. It just like I know that it feels good to be in spaces with other people who look like me, but it also doesn't bother me. I don't know, maybe it just made me better at like relating to anybody, because I didn't really have another option.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't want to make it like, it wasn't like this big thing that was always on my mind as a kid, but I definitely did feel like other a lot of times, for reasons that I didn't understand at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just like family. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's good to hear. I feel like everyone's experience is different. Like everybody's journey is different, and everybody feels different ways about different things, and like experiences different, what's the word? Like discrimination at different times and for different things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's internal, like that feeling that you get inside of you of like, I feel a little like different here.
For sure.
But then there's like communities like Hollow that like bring people together and like,
oh my God,
uplift,
I love it.
You know?
Yeah. So I guess, I don't know. I think there are a lot of factors that contributed to this quality in me, but I always felt like I had to like prove like how good I was and how strong I was and like how smart I was. But again, there are so many factors. Like I'm so competitive anyway. But I don't know, that sense of like feeling other could have led to me feeling like I needed to prove something. I think a lot of women in general experience that too. So that was really a driving force too, for a lot of my endeavors. As much as I enjoyed everything that I did, like throughout education and everything, and all my extracurriculars, I also like felt like I had to prove something. I had to earn respect, and those were ways that in which I could do that.
Yeah. Okay, so we got childhood, schooling. We're gonna get into like some hardships in your 20s, which we did a little bit with you moving. So what brought you up here in the first place?
Yeah, it's so crazy looking back. It wasn't even that, well, I guess it was almost 2 years ago, but I finished up my master's and I was so burnt out on academia. I pictured it, again, it's just like that naive stage of life when you're like so passionate and like want to make changes, and like all the adults in your life are like, just wait. Just wait till you get in the real world, kid. And that's what my master's felt like, was me getting into the real world and seeing like how established this system was that didn't really work well for me. And that's not to say that I didn't enjoy a lot of my master's. I learned so much. I had experiences that I never would have otherwise. But I was really burnt out. I thought I was going to be able to operate in that space differently. And I was just burnt out from school, burnt out from being on a computer. I really, really wanted to do field work, and that's a big reason also why I went to graduate school. I loved the diving aspect of it, but in reality, that was like 3 months out of the year, at least in Oregon, because the coast is so brutal. So that meant I was spending like the remaining 9 months out of the year in a lab, sitting alone on a computer. And I was like, this is not sustainable for me. I don't like this. And I really wanted to be outside. And a friend sent me this job website for outdoor jobs, and Timberline popped up. And I'm like, oh my God, I never even thought, like, this is in my backyard, basically. I never even thought to do this. And so I applied to be a liftie. And at that point, I had been snowboarding like maybe 3 or 4 times in my life. Like, me and my friends started this tradition of going snowboarding at Summit on New Year's. So I had been 3 times as an adult. And then in like 7th grade, I went with a friend. But I loved it. And so I was like, that would be so cool if I could go work outside, do the kind of work I want to do, and learn how to snowboard for free, because Lord knows I could not afford to snowboard otherwise. So it was just exactly what I was looking for at the time. And I was asking some questions to the managers of the lift ops department at that point, and it sounded like there was a really robust young community, and that's also something that was really important to me. After kind of like finding and cultivating a community in Coos Bay, I realized how important that was to me, and I wanted to move somewhere where the environment was similar and there was a strong community. So
what did your community look like when you first moved up here? Like, how did you integrate yourself? Were you nervous? Was it kind of that same feeling of like, oh, I'm alone out here?
I think at that point I felt so prepared for anything. Govy, like in my perspective, everyone has their own experiences, of course, but from my perspective, Govy is like New York City compared to Coos Bay. So I was like, I'll be fine here. But I met Carrie at orientation, starting talking to her, and then like very quickly she introduced me to you. And like immediately, well, first of all, meeting you, immediately you were so warm. I was like, who is this person? You had me pinned in like 0.2 seconds.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, I forgot. What even was that conversation? I was like, why did I just say that? Like, I don't even know this person. And I just like called her out.
I think we were talking about relationships or something. And you were like, I feel like you're the kind of person that just kind of like goes off of people's energy, or is like attracted to people's energy, or like off of like how you feel towards them instead of looks. And I was like, I met you like 3 minutes ago.
I just like pulled out the crystal ball. I have no clue where that came from.
But I immediately felt so comfortable with you, and just knowing you two, honestly, like, and being in Lift Ops opened up the whole community, and living in Govy, like, it was so easy to find community, and so it was pretty much immediately pretty comforting here for me. Yeah, a lot easier of a transition.
Yeah. What lessons from those years that we specifically just talked about shaped how you approach life today?
That is a tough one to answer because I learned so much. I was living completely alone for like maybe not a year and a half, maybe like 15 months or something like that. So I had a lot of time on my hands. But I think a big thing I learned in graduate school was like how to... Okay, there was so much so like I completely transformed as a person. I don't think I can, like, I was still me, but like completely evolved during that time. So it's hard to give you a succinct answer, but I really learned about self-worth and like truly what that means when you are confident in who you are, regardless of any other outside factors, regardless of whether you're in a relationship, whether you have friends around. Like, being confident in who I was and like owning that really helped, because I did have to go to bat for myself in grad school, and it was really hard. But I learned to tell myself, like, you try your best every single day, and that's all you can do. So if you look back and you think, oh, I wish I did more that day, well, no, because I know that I did my best. And so just like that, that aspect of it, and also just like finding confidence after a breakup, like, can be really hard, but really learn to like know who I was, trust that, be confident in it, own it, and be able to advocate for myself was a big thing. Learning how to, where to put my energy. One of the best pieces of advice that so many of my colleagues in graduate school gave me was like, you don't have to do like your absolute best every single time. I was like, oh my God, that was like a revelation because it was killing me. Like it truly, like, in a certain point, it becomes unsustainable to try to do your absolute best at every single thing you do. It's just not possible. And so I learned how to delegate my energy properly, I think. And then I also learned like what was really important for me to build a sustainable life, and that was community was a huge one, and also being outside, just like things that I need to see in my life in order to be happy and for it to be sustainable, because I know that I could do anything. Like, I really could do anything and make it work, but am I going to be killing myself in the process, or am I going to get burnt out in the process? And so looking for those like core values or core things that I always want to incorporate into my life in order for it to be sustainable. I think that's, and I really learned how to make deep friendships. I just learned so much. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna get that tattooed.
I should.
No, but so real though. Like, you do have to go through hard times to learn big lessons like that.
Yeah.
And it's easier, like, said than done. Obviously, like, you really do have to walk through it to, like, know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But the sooner you can hear it, the sooner, like, you could probably save yourself a little bit of trouble if you listen to some.
For sure. Like, being aware of it is the first step. And, like, even if you're not engaging with the advice that you get, like, sometimes I'll hear something and I'll be like, whatever. And then I learn the lesson. I'm like, oh, they were so right. But it does like help in the process to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Like so many people, when I was researching graduate school, I would like talk to current students to understand what it was like to be in graduate school, what I should look for. And so many of them were like, it kind of sucks. And like, honestly, you don't really need to do this unless you know like what job you want. And that didn't apply to me at the time. And I was like, I don't care. I'll go to graduate school. And then afterwards, I was like, oh my God, I understand everything that they were saying.
Yep.
But having the context and the awareness is still helpful, even if you decide not to listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, before we get into this next section, I'm going to check. Okay. Ash Peterson 6 asks, what's been your biggest struggle in your 20s and how did you or are you overcoming it?
Oh, God. Well, not to discourage the young folks out there, but at least my 20s, I don't want to say they've been a nightmare. That's overreaching, but
it's been pretty tough.
A lot of the messaging you get is that like your 20s are like the prime of your life and like use them well and enjoy being young. And some of that to an extent is true, but I think people are getting better at talking about like actually your 20s are difficult. It's like a lot of transition periods, a lot of learning, a lot of not knowing what the heck is going on after thinking you know what's going on. So it's just like it's a whirlwind, your 20s. And I've had a lot of struggles.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question? I got lost in the sauce of the 20s.
What's been your biggest struggle in your 20s? And how did you or are you overcoming it?
Okay. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I just lost my train of thought, but for me, this is kind of a unique experience, or maybe not. I don't know. But like I said earlier, I have always kind of been all over the place and really enjoyed trying new things. But I also have never had a clear direction. And I think that really came to a head in college and in my 20s. Like, a lot of people probably think it's silly because, like, I went to college and I went to grad school. And it's like, why would you do those things? Like, wouldn't you have some sense of what your path is if you're choosing to pursue those things? And the answer is no. And so I think that's been one of my biggest struggles, is feeling like a lot of people around me have a really clear path and mine has never been clear and is not getting any clearer. And grappling with that. But I think I learned, especially in graduate school and everything that followed and everything that I decided to do with my time, was that whatever I choose to do doesn't have to be permanent. It doesn't have to be traditional. I don't have to have one career for the rest of my life. Is that going to make my life a little harder? Probably. But like realizing that I can curate the things that I do to fit who I am as a person, even if it looks completely different from anybody else, is okay. And like it is possible. And don't get me wrong, it still causes me some, I don't know, I still grapple with not having a clear path, because like I do want stability and things like that moving forward. Like everyone needs that, and I need to be able to support myself. But I think I've just come to terms with the fact that it's going to look very different from anything traditional, and that I can really like make my path my own.
Well, and your path, it's not necessarily like easy to kind of find it, because a lot of things have popped up in the way for you.
Yes. It's also true.
Like, it's really hard to walk a good path when you're literally stumbling through life because hard things come up.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about your dad at all?
Yeah, we can talk about that. I'll try to keep it together.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you want to ask any specific questions or?
Well, specifically, I had written down, losing a parent is life-changing. How did you process that at first? And along with that, what did some of those hard days look like?
At first, I didn't really process it. Losing my dad was very unexpected, and
this was about a year ago.
A year? What month is it?
I don't know. I wanted to say April, but it's September.
About a year and a half ago. So yeah, it was unexpected, and the first year, pretty much, I guess I could say, I was just like completely in shock. And towards the beginning, when it first happened, of course, there were really, really, really intense emotions. But the rest of the time I was just in shock, because your body is like getting used to this person being gone. But when it's only been a few months, it's like, oh, maybe they're just on vacation, or like maybe I just haven't seen them because I've been working. And there are those moments where it feels like 5 freight trains are hitting you at once. And it's just so painful that you feel like you're going to explode. But a lot of the time, too, it's just like you're in shock. And it is a lot of, for me, I was dissociating a lot, like feeling like I wasn't even in my own body. And that's not to say I didn't have some great experiences last year, but it's safe to say I wasn't really fully there. And there's a lot of the last year that I don't remember at all, which I think is pretty normal after a traumatic experience. But yeah, initially just was in shock. Didn't really feel like I was inside of my body. Didn't really feel like I existed sometimes. So yeah, the processing didn't really come until later.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the second half of that question.
What were some of those hard days? What did they look like?
Honestly, I don't remember a lot of the last year. Had a lot of really hard days with family, had a lot of really hard days alone. And for the first year, it was usually just like really, really, really intense emotions and crying, and maybe like a few hours of that every once in a while. And then the rest of the time, just kind of feeling like I wasn't really there.
Mm-hmm.
For the first year. Second year, starting on the second year has definitely been very different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also, on this trip to the coast that we took, like, I remember you talking about how, like, there was some days, like, you would just have to, like, make yourself do things, even when you didn't want to.
Yeah. Yeah, I was definitely doing, on the days, or the moments or the days where I felt those intense emotions, I let myself do that. And then, at the time that my dad died, I had been, I don't want to say alone, but I guess single for about 3 years. And I was single when he died. And so I was really in the spaces in between filling my time with anything and everything I could. And there were some really, really fun things that happened last summer. Going out and hanging out with people, going to the river. I was in the water all the time, playing music on the loop. Literally filling every second of my time that I could outside of those times when I needed to be alone and needed to feel that. And so, yeah, there were some really great memories. But it is hard. Like, I wasn't, even in those moments of joy, it's like always this like shadow cast over you. Like it's something you can't avoid. at least in the first year, it was incredibly present on my mind, regardless of the situation. And so I did feel joy, and I did do some fun things, but yeah, it was present.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna make me cry. I'm trying to hold it together.
Well, just like the whole time I'm looking at you, I'm like thinking, I'm like, it's so unfair, like how like such awesome people like you have to go through.
You're gonna make me cry.
Like go through
Yeah.
hard things, like, but I just like imagine your dad like looking at you right now and being like, oh my gosh, like you've
Don't
got
do this to me.
And like you've just really like I know that you probably think like, oh, like I sucked at responding during that time, or like, oh, I didn't do enough, or like whatever, just like so down on yourself, but like you really have navigated like a massive loss like that.
Thank you.
Like there's no way to really navigate it. I guess there's not a scale of like
Yeah.
navigating something well or not, but you have used it for good. And you know, like
that.
even though our experiences weren't like the same during the time, but you like opening up to me about that like on that trip and stuff like that like empowered me a lot and like gave me a lot of hope to be like, okay, well, if Sam could like, obviously you're still, it's not like a hurdle that you all of a sudden just like get over.
Right.
Obviously you're still going through it, but like I was like, okay, if Sam can like live through those initial moments, like surely I can get through what I'm getting through, you know?
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone who follows Hoodgirlzzz knows this, but Ari's amazing. Like, I already said this, but within like 2 minutes you had me pinned and made me feel so comfortable. But that trip was also so special. You're just such a special person, and I'm gonna talk about more on that later too, I think, with the questions that you ask. But yeah, I do really appreciate you.
Yeah. And grief changes us in ways I feel like we don't always expect. Like for you, during that time, you said you were single before for like quite a while, and then single during, and then obviously you now have Levi, which we'll get into that and stuff too. But on that trip, you also opened up about like relationships and heartbreaks. What did you learn about love through those experiences? Of like losing your dad, schooling, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Through my breakup when I first started, I learned a lot about myself and how I want to operate, like regardless of if I'm in a relationship or not. Because I talked about like finding self-worth and like confidence and independence, which I thought I had always had. And then when that breakup happened, I realized like how much of that was actually tied to that relationship because I felt so secure. And I was like, I want to feel that sense of security, like regardless of where I'm at in life. And so that really taught me, and I had incredible friends who were just like hyping me up the whole time. And I would not have gotten to that place without them. Like my self-worth was so much lower than I care to admit after that. And so I had incredible friends that like hyped me up, but not in like a superficial way, in like a way that was true and honest, but like really hyped me up. And so I learned how to find a better sense of like identity and self-worth through that heartbreak. And then same thing that just continued throughout graduate school, like learning how to advocate for myself, knowing my own value and my sense of self-worth, regardless of the challenges that I faced in graduate school. I think I keep forgetting your question.
What did you learn about love through those experiences?
Oh, love. Okay, finding
also at the same time, I kind of want to ask, how did you meet Levi? I know obviously it was super unexpected, and you weren't looking like for anything at the time.
Yeah.
So and also the timing, obviously you could say it like in your own words, but outside looking in, is like that timing was so crazy.
Yeah.
For you?
It was really crazy. Okay, so love. So yeah, self-worth was like the first section, part of that formula, because that's important. I feel like people know that that's important. A lot of people talk about it these days, but yeah, being confident in who I was and like being authentic and owning it and knowing my own worth and value allowed me to navigate relationships a lot easier too, because I didn't feel the need to put on this facade and then potentially get into relationships, whether they were romantic or not, that just like weren't authentic, or feeling like I had to continue that facade in order to remain in that relationship, or feel like I had to give too much in order to remain in that relationship. Like having a strong sense of who I was and my value really helped open the door to so many friendships. But also in meeting Levi and getting into a relationship, I realized like I had spent so much time alone and so much time reflecting that I thought I had learned everything there was to learn. I was like, I'm set on the learning for now.
And you told me, you were like, I'm going to be single for the rest of my life. Like that is what was going through your head at the time.
It's so hard to not like taint my memory with my current perspective, because that's hilarious. I totally forgot. Like it hasn't even been a year and I've already forgotten about how difficult it was. But yeah, I was to the point where I was like, I have been alone. I have not found anybody that I could see living my life with, or if I had an inkling of it, it didn't work out. But that wasn't a common occurrence either. So I was pretty much like, yeah, I was like, I know I can live alone. Like I have this confidence in myself. I've been independent for so long. This might be how it's going to be. And I did like want to have a partner. But I wasn't like actively searching, I would say. Like I've never searched to be in a relationship or like forced anything. It was always something that I wanted, but I wasn't going to force it to happen. Like if it wasn't going to happen, it wasn't going to happen. I wasn't going to do it for the wrong reasons. And so yeah, Levi was a huge surprise.
Mm-hmm. How did you guys meet?
We met last summer. He worked at, well, I didn't know this till later, but he wasn't supposed to stay in Govy the whole summer, but he, like everyone else, got sucked in. He loved it. So he got a job at Chevron to get a free pass. And I met him at Chevron.
Slinging those corn dogs.
Slinging the corn dogs. And I thought, oh, he's kind of cute and he seems pretty normal. And then I didn't see him again for like months because he's such an introvert. But eventually he like looped into the little community events that were happening. And by community events, I mean everyone just hanging out on the loop. And even then I didn't think we were gonna fall in love. I didn't really know. That's not to like be deprecating to Levi. We didn't really know each other that well. Mm-hmm. We were very surface level friends. I just like enjoyed his company, had fun with him, but I didn't like know any of his deeper values or anything. So I was like, I doubt. And I had encountered like such polarizing perspectives on life, with one being like either I would encounter people who were like so serious, mm-hmm. which is great, but like not the track I'm on. Like I don't need to be super serious about life and like getting a career and 401k and that's all that there is. But then on the other end, people who were didn't give a shit about anything.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But like I was looking for something that was kind of balanced between the two, where like, yeah, we can have a good time and like fuck off and be dirtbags, but like also there are things that we do need to be serious about. And I just didn't think I was gonna find that here.
Yeah.
So because a lot of us are like here to have fun, and that's awesome, and there's nothing wrong with that. But so I was literally like, I think I'm just gonna move to New Zealand. and then Levi and I started hanging out more and more, and I was like, wait a minute. I think and so in that process I learned what I learned about love was like what I really truly value in a relationship, past like the superficial things, past even what seems obvious, because we're pretty different people, but like at our core we have similar values. We want to live our lives in similar ways. And like the most important thing that I didn't really realize was that important before, even though it seems really obvious, is just that person is going to be committed to you and be there for you when it's hard, and just like stand by your side no matter what. And Levi immediately showed me that all of those things were true.
Yeah, and that's what's unique about your guys' like love story, I guess you could say, is you immediately started off the bat of going through a major big struggle.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that like relationships at the beginning can be like rainbows and butterflies. Like you have the classic honeymoon, and then you go through something big or small, depends on your scale, what you think. And then that really shows.
Yeah.
Because love, I mean, I believe love is a choice and a commitment.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
There's you.
Sorry, I just burped.
Classic. Yeah, love is a choice and a commitment, and you really do have to wake up every day and like be like, okay, this person is probably going to annoy me today, or like this person's probably going to do something I don't like.
Yeah.
But once you have like those core things established,
right,
those core values, and you're with someone you love, obviously, like sometimes you could be with someone you're like, whatever. But like you actually genuinely don't like them. But when you have someone, no matter how much you like them, it's still a choice that you have to like make every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just didn't know that. Like my only experience with love before that was, well, aside from what I had seen or examples that I'd seen, my only experience personally, like with actually physically being in a relationship, was when I was a child. Like I was in that relationship from 15 to 20, 21, something like that. So I didn't know what the hell was going on. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know anything about love. I hadn't thought about it that deeply. I hadn't thought about things that I like actually value. I didn't advocate for myself. I didn't know my own self-worth. And so I completely lost my train of thought. And
like love is a choice.
Yes,
you didn't
yes,
have
yes,
those
yes.
skills. Yeah.
And like you were saying, like there was already going into our relationship like a fucking huge elephant in the room, and I was like, damn, like I'm already having such a hard time finding love, and now I have all this shit to deal with. Like it's never gonna happen. But I just learned so much from Levi. Like after we had hung out for a while and we were finally like, okay, maybe this could be something. I was like, I am currently like on a really rocky path. And I don't know what that's gonna look like, but I know it's gonna be really difficult, and there are gonna be times where it takes over and it's not fun, and that's just something that is going to happen. Like 100%, this is going to be my path. And he was like, I want to be there for it, and that was crazy. Crazy. And he has been. Yeah. I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know that people could actually follow through on their word. Like I learned a lot from him, and learned a lot about myself and how I can improve and be a better partner. because like you said, like you're never going to agree on 100% of the things all of the time. And like, I feel like people these days get hung up on such trivial things. And I'm like, this person is showing me that they want to be there for me. They're committed. They want to learn. I want to learn. Like, yeah, there are going to be hard times, but I don't know.
Yeah.
You're going to encounter that no matter what.
Yeah. And I feel like there's so much to say of like going into a relationship and have done the work.
Yeah.
Like you have like been in positions where you had to work on your self-worth and your self-confidence and like you did live alone and you have gone through hard things, and all of those things like prepared you in a way to be a good partner because you know you just have those life skills.
For sure.
And that's just a bonus. And like,
yeah,
if you're a young girl watching this, like make sure your person is, I mean, no one's like 100% ready, but like look deeper than just like, oh, they're a good person, because anyone could be a good person, but like ultimately that like will fail one day. Like you can't be a good person 100% of the time. Like you have to have other skills to be a good partner.
Totally. I agree with that. And that's a big thing I learned. And learning how I can like be a better partner and like be empathetic and be patient. Because I thought all my learning was done. But it's not. The only way you can learn about relationships is to be in one. And so there was a lot more growing to do. But I think the fact that we both want to learn together and we're both committed to doing that and committed to each other is like one of the biggest signs that it was right.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you don't already follow Hoodgirlzzz Instagram 3Zs, I put out like a poll the other day asking them some questions to be featured on the pod. And quite a few people asked some questions, so I'm excited. Also, I have to give credit to Scrit for asking the question of like how you ended up in Govy.
Oh, thanks, Scrit.
Okay. What should we start with? Oh, Lex Govy Scum asks, are cabs real in snowboarding?
Definitely not real, because I have never done it. And as everybody in the snowboarding industry knows, if I haven't done it, it's not real.
It's not real. So there's your question.
Lex, why are you asking me?
B from Shred Cats asks, how did you get into taking photos?
Oh, I met B at Hello Hollow. She's amazing. Awesome. Photography. I've just like always been a little gremlin with a camera. Like I think when I was really young, my parents got me a digital camera. And I also had like one of those iPods with the camera on the back. I don't know why I love taking photos so much. I think I just loved looking back on them, or like the way that you could get artistic with them. So from a young age, I was super just like taking photos all the time. And then took one class in high school, saw that people were kind of making money from it, and I was like, that seems like fun. I really enjoy photography. Maybe I'll pursue this as something more. And it was really slow growing at first, but it just started as a hobby that I really enjoyed. And then realizing that I could get like, with more experience, I could get more artistic with it and take photos that are like really meaningful to people was attractive to me. And of course, just having a side gig.
Yeah, always helps. That extra money always helps.
Yeah.
Carrie asks, how would you describe your writing style in 3 words? / what is your pre-drop hype song?
Girl, my writing style. Okay, first of all, I'm going to say colorful.
I like that.
I feel like no hate. No hate to the all black fits. But I don't want to be caught dead not wearing color. I'm very passionate about this subject.
It's good.
The black fits are really cool. It's just not me. So colorful. Poser. I'm a huge poser. I don't know what I'm doing.
We're all posers.
I don't know. I haven't been writing for very long, so it's hard to like say that I even have a style. A colorful, silly poser.
Colorful, silly little poser. We like it.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Okay. What's your pre-drop hype song?
I'm gonna get so much hate for this, but
What?
I have never ever listened to music while snowboarding.
Never ever? Like you've never tried it?
No.
Ever?
Oh, okay. Maybe like dropping from work, I think once I put my headphones on.
Is there a reason?
Well, what first attracted me to snowboarding before like I got into the community was just like being outside and feeling connected and grounded to the world around me. And so with that just like it just felt natural to not be listening to music. And then when I got more into the park scene, I guess, my first introduction to jibbing was like logs and picnic tables, because when I got here there was no snow.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a park set up for a long time. But then I broke my elbow. So a lot of it was just in natural settings, and it just felt natural to not be listening to music, and I never like shifted from that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good not like that my mind is blown.
I'm psychotic.
That I like that though. Wow.
That throw you for a loop.
Hang Still asks, what are Sam's thoughts on Hang Still snowboard pants?
Ooh.
Send
I
her
have a few good friends. Oh yeah, I'll
send her a
take
pair.
pants.
Send her a pair and then she'll tell you. I got you, girl.
I have a few friends who look great in them. That's what I'll say.
Emma asks, talk about karaoke. This is all caps. Talk about karaoke. Girl can sing. What's your go-to song?
Okay. Well, thank you. Which Emma?
Emma Clevenger.
Okay. Thank you, Emma. That's very sweet. I don't have a go-to song. I really like to work off the vibes. So whatever I'm feeling in the energy of the moment, I have a very...
You always sing this one song. How does it go? Just your attitude apart. It's tearing me apart.
Oh! I just licked the microphone. Jesus Christ. Okay, sorry. Linger. Oh, I love that song. So good. The original by the Cranberries is so good.
Can you sing a little bit for us?
Girl, what the heck?
Please. I will pay you.
The cover by Royal Otis is good. Oh my God. Are you serious?
I'll pay you. I'll literally pay you.
I feel like I'm going to burp again. I have to even remember how it goes.
I know. How does it start? I'll look it up.
If you could return, don't let it burn, don't let it fade. And I'm sure I might be rude, but it's just your attitude, and it's tearing me apart, and it's ruining everything.
Music to my freaking ears.
I was not prepared for that.
Oh, so good. So good. So good.
That is a great song. But yeah, I have a list. I have a note on my phone that has probably at least 100 songs, and like whatever one stands out, or like if I'm feeling the energy, that's the one I pick. Yeah.
Olsen asks, how old were you when you realized you are, in all caps, that girl?
I love you, Olsey. I don't know if I had that realization. Like I said earlier, I had a lot of friends, especially after my breakup, who were really hyping me up. And at first I was like, oh, these people are just my friends and they're being so nice, and I appreciate the love and the kindness. One in particular is my friend Hannah, who like would not stop hyping me up. And then at a certain point, like I started to believe it. And I like actually started seeing myself in a different way. And that was just like the jumping point. And then I started to like take stock of like what is really important to me. And if I match those values. And when I realized that I did and was like doing the things and being the kind of person that I cared about, I was like, I have nothing to be ashamed of, to worry about, to cover up. Like, and that's when I really started being authentic. I don't know. I'd say that
Shout out
girl,
Hannah.
but like finding that authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how old I was.
Still learning.
Yeah, always learning.
Riley Gill, Gill.
Okay.
Shout out. He always watches this podcast, so
Oh, hell
I know he'll listen. Who do you look up to on or off the mountain, and why?
Oh my God, so many people. Like, honestly, all of my friends and my close friends are people who inspire me and I look up to. Ari is a huge one.
Bruh. You just saying that.
No. Anyone who knows Ari knows how amazing she is. And no, really, in so many ways. Like, especially on that. I mean, not especially on that trip. There's so many examples. But, like, just the way that you show up for the community. And, like, no matter who it is, when new people arrive, you are always, like, a comforting, friendly face. Mm. You immediately accept people into your corner. Like on our trip when you were comforting me, like I was watching the episode with Emma too, and you were like telling her how it seemed like she knew the right things to do to comfort somebody. Mm-hmm. And it was so funny because I felt the exact same way about you. Aww. And like with everything I was going through, you always just like met me where I was at. You never expected anything from me. You never like imposed any other like narrative or perspective. You were just like met me where I was at truly. And like even when I first showed up, you were immediately a friend. Just the community you've cultivated and all the work you do with Hoodgirlzzz and like shining light on sick ass women. Everything that you do is so inspiring to me. And there are a lot of people in my close circle that I can name, but I think that's partially what attracts me to some of my closest friends is that they have qualities that I really admire and can learn from.
Yeah.
There are so many people who inspire me.
Well, it's real. There's that saying, you are who you hang out with.
Yeah.
And you are most like the closest 5 people around you.
Yeah.
So I feel like you can always tell if someone has good friends based on like what kind of person they are.
That's a good point. But it's such a long list. I don't even want to try to name.
Yeah. 360 Grinds asks, if you could create the perfect work environment for women snowboarders, what would it be?
Oh,
that's a loaded question.
Yeah, I don't know honestly if I'm the best person to ask. Obviously, I'm a woman who snowboards, but I haven't like been in the scene for very long. I feel like Ari would be the perfect person to ask. But
we were having a random conversation one day and you had like good ideas. It was like about like working specifically at Timberline.
Ooh.
But maybe that ain't the time to open up that can of worms.
Just like having more women in general. And I think I've been really fortunate because Timberline, we do have quite a few female lifties. And then like actually doing the work to retain those employees.
And that goes for any place as well, too.
100%.
Like any environment. I think bringing on women to any team is awesome.
Hell yeah.
We are literally geniuses.
It's true.
So maybe just, bring on more women to your team. Whatever you're doing. Emily asks, what's your favorite part about snowboarding at Mount Hood?
Ooh, that's so hard. Because there are so many reasons. And also, I've only been to like 2 other mountains ever. But it was a really great place to learn. And the community is so sick. Like, I realize that I have a unique perspective. And maybe it doesn't feel the same for everybody. But I immediately felt welcomed and hyped up, like just immediately for even trying. And so the community is like a really huge part of it. And then of course, just like Oregon is my home, and there's so many sick things to do around here, outside of snowboarding too. So it's just like a kind of a mecca.
Yeah, the place, the people.
Yeah. I hate that I use that word, but yes.
The mecca.
It's the mecca. Nobody's going to agree with me.
The mother mushroom, aka Kate, asks, how do you incorporate wellness and harmony into your daily life?
Oh boy.
Sam's life is so chaotic. I love it.
It's like an inside joke with my closest friends that I just have like the worst luck in the entire world. That's not true. But sometimes it seems like it. Wellness and harmony. My relationships are a huge component of that. My friendships, and of course now my romantic partnership, are like incredibly important to me. And playing music, writing music. I've always been pretty musical, but the writing, it didn't really all come together to culminate in like writing my own music until like maybe 2020. And that's been a big part of my sanity as well. Mm-hmm. And then everything else is always constantly fluctuating. Like having ADHD, I'll do like yoga for a month and I'm like, I feel amazing. And then one day I won't do it, and then I don't do it again for like 8 months. Mm-hmm. So it's constantly in flux, but relationships are very important to me in music.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, this last question comes from me, and then we'll wrap up. But what's one thing you hope listeners take away from your story?
I don't know. I've never really like, this sounds so self-deprecating, but I've never really like considered that my thoughts or experiences could be like beneficial for anyone else to hear. Like I've spent a lot of my life like wanting to be an empathetic person and learn about other people, and so I've never really like thought about how my own experiences could be impactful. But in terms I don't know, in terms of grief, like if you know someone who is grieving, because I was that person at one point where I didn't know what it was like to grieve, and I had people around me going through that process. Just like, if you don't know what to do, just like love them how you normally love them, or maybe even more. And like, it was just like learning to be authentic, because everybody has like value and everybody's existence matters. Like whether you're like queer or going through mental illnesses or like struggling with addiction, like, or homeless, like everybody has value, and like finding out what your values are and just like standing firmly in them and not putting on a facade based on what you think other people want to see. Like being authentic is, I think, the thing that has gotten me through a lot of things, because it not only gives me like a strong sense of self and a feeling of wholeness to be authentic and not like put on a facade, but it also has allowed like every other part of my life to flourish, because I find friends who love me for me, and friends who, when I'm being my authentic self, they feel seen and they feel whole, and so it benefits those relationships. And whenever I go through hardship, well, some of the hardship, when I'm being authentic and I go through something difficult, I'm like, well, at least I know like I'm on the path that I want to be on, and this hardship is worth it because I'm only pursuing things that are authentic to me. Mm-hmm. And so it helps me to get through that. Of course, there are hardships that we don't choose to go through. But like along your path, you're always going to experience hardship. And if you're putting on a facade or doing something because you think you need to, it's going to be more difficult to get through those hardships because you're going to be like, why am I even here? Why am I even doing this? But when you're staying authentic, you know your purpose along that path, even when things are difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Ari.
That was really good. We talked about a lot: grief, love, resilience, change.
Yeah.
A lot. So I'm really excited for everyone to be listening. Thanks again for listening to the Hoodgirlzzz Podcast. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm really excited. Until next time, keep growing, keep adventuring, and keep finding your path.
Thank you, Ari, for creating this platform. You're the